Hello everyone, welcome to the US Immigration. In a recent development that has sent shockwaves through immigrant communities across America, the Trump administration is preparing to launch what experts are calling one of the most aggressive immigration enforcement campaigns in modern history. But this time, the crackdown isn't just targeting undocumented immigrants or visa overstays. Reports suggest that naturalized US citizens, people who worked years to earn their citizenship and took the oath of allegiance, could find themselves under unprecedented scrutiny starting in 2026. What makes this case different is that we're talking about individuals who have already completed the entire naturalization process and became full American citizens, yet their status may no longer provide the absolute protection many believed it would. The landscape of immigration enforcement has shifted so dramatically that even citizenship itself is now being questioned by federal authorities. If you are interested in this topic and liking this video, please stay tuned until the end of the video. If you are liking this video, please hit the bell button, subscribe and like it so that you may get updates straight to your smartphone. Now, let's get into the video. The Trump administration has made immigration enforcement the centerpiece of its political agenda, and in recent months, officials have signaled that their crackdown will extend far beyond typical removal operations. While previous administrations focused primarily on deporting undocumented immigrants or those with serious criminal convictions, sources familiar with the administration's plans indicate that 2026 will see a comprehensive review of naturalization cases going back many years. Officials argue that this review is necessary to identify cases of citizenship fraud, instances where individuals allegedly lied on their naturalization applications, concealed criminal histories, or obtained citizenship through marriages that were not genuine. Immigration experts note that while the federal government has always had the legal authority to revoke citizenship obtained through fraud or misrepresentation, what's unprecedented is the scale and scope of the planned naturalization operations. According to sources, the Department of Homeland Security and US Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, are building specialized task forces specifically designed to investigate naturalized citizens. These task forces will reportedly have access to enhanced database systems that can cross-reference naturalization records with criminal databases, financial records, immigration violation histories, and even social media activity from years ago. What this translates to is that naturalized citizens who believe their immigration journey was complete may suddenly find themselves facing intense scrutiny over applications they filed 5, 10, or even 15 years ago. The administration claims this effort is focused on rooting out terrorism threats and serious criminals who obtain citizenship fraudulently, but legal analysts suggest the criteria being used could be much broader than what officials are publicly acknowledging. In practical terms, here's what you need to know about how this crackdown could affect naturalized citizens. First, the administration is reportedly prioritizing cases involving individuals from what they classify as countries of concern. While officials have not publicly released a definitive list, immigration attorneys believe this likely includes countries in the Middle East, North Africa, Central Asia, and certain parts of South America. Naturalized citizens who were born in these countries or who immigrated from these regions could face heightened scrutiny regardless of how long they've been US citizens. Second, any discrepancies or inconsistencies in past immigration applications, no matter how minor they seem at the time, could now trigger denaturalization proceedings. This means that if you made a mistake on your green card application years ago, if you failed to disclose a traffic ticket, if you listed the wrong date for a previous address, or if any information on your forms doesn't perfectly match government records, immigration authorities could use this as evidence of fraud or willful misrepresentation. Third, individuals who obtain their green cards through marriage and later naturalize as citizens could face particular scrutiny. Immigration officials have indicated they will be reviewing marriage-based cases to determine whether the marriages were genuine or entered into primarily to obtain immigration benefits. Even if the marriage lasted for years and produced children, if investigators believe there's any evidence the marriage was not bona fide at the time it was entered, they could initiate denaturalization proceedings. Fourth, criminal convictions, even those that occurred after naturalization, could trigger reviews of citizenship cases. While a post-naturalization conviction cannot by itself be grounds for denaturalization, it can prompt authorities to re-examine the original naturalization application to determine whether the applicant concealed criminal history or made false statements during the naturalization process. To put this in perspective, denaturalization is an extraordinarily serious matter with life-altering consequences. When citizenship is revoked, the individual doesn't simply return to green card status. They typically lose all immigration status entirely and become subject to immediate deportation. This means a person who has been a US citizen for a decade, who owns property, has established a career, raised American citizen children, and fully integrated into society, could be stripped of citizenship and removed from the country based on alleged misrepresentations that occurred many years earlier on immigration applications. The legal standard for denaturalization requires the government to prove that citizenship was obtained illegally or through concealment of material facts or willful misrepresentation. However, what constitutes a material fact or willful misrepresentation can be interpreted quite broadly, and immigration attorneys warn that the current administration appears to be taking an expansive view of these terms. Beyond the direct denaturalization proceedings, the administration's crackdown is expected to create a climate of uncertainty within naturalized citizen communities. Reports suggest that increased investigations, interviews, and document requests will become routine for certain populations. Naturalized citizens may find themselves questioned at airports when returning from international travel. They may receive notices requiring them to appear for interviews to verify information from years-old applications. They may be asked to provide documentation proving the legitimacy of marriages, employment histories, or residential addresses from a decade ago. This level of scrutiny, even if it doesn't result in denaturalization, can be deeply disruptive, expensive, and emotionally traumatic for individuals and families who believed their American citizenship was secure and permanent. In addition to these changes, the administration has been vocal about its intention to end what officials call automatic birthright citizenship for children born in the United States to undocumented parents or parents on temporary visas. While this policy primarily affects future births and doesn't directly impact naturalized citizens, it signals a broader philosophy within the administration about who deserves American citizenship and under what conditions it can be revoked or denied. Legal analysts suggest this aggressive posture on citizenship issues reflects a fundamental shift in how immigration authorities view naturalization, treating it less as a permanent status and more as a revocable privilege that can be taken away if authorities determine it was obtained improperly. Despite these challenges, it's important to understand that not every naturalized citizen will face these problems. The vast majority of people who obtained citizenship through legitimate means, who were truthful on their applications, who maintained clean records, and who fulfilled all requirements honestly should not face denaturalization. However, the expanded enforcement apparatus means that more people will likely be investigated, and the burden will fall on naturalized citizens to prove their applications were truthful and complete. This is a reversal of the traditional presumption that once someone becomes a citizen, that status is essentially permanent unless extraordinary circumstances exist. While there have been some modifications in immigration enforcement priorities over the years, the current administration's focus on investigating and potentially revoking citizenship represents an unprecedented expansion of enforcement efforts. Previous administrations conducted denaturalization proceedings, but these were typically limited to cases involving war criminals, terrorists, or individuals who obtained citizenship through egregious fraud. What's different now is the scale of the planned review and the broader criteria being applied to identify potential cases. The administration claims that between 800 and 1,000 cases are currently under investigation, with plans to significantly expand that number in 2026. Advocacy groups warned that this crackdown will disproportionately affect immigrant communities from specific countries and regions, creating a two-tiered system where some citizens enjoy the full security of their status, while others live under constant threat of investigation and potential denaturalization. Civil rights organizations have already indicated they will challenge these policies in court, arguing that targeting naturalized citizens based on their country of origin violates constitutional protections of equal protection and due process. However, before jumping to conclusions, it remains to be seen how courts will rule on these challenges, and legal battles could take years to resolve while enforcement operations continue. As a naturalized citizen, this situation might feel overwhelming and frightening, especially if you're from a country that officials consider high risk. The most important thing you can do is ensure that every piece of information you provided on your naturalization application and all previous immigration forms was accurate and truthful. If you have any concerns about potential errors or omissions on past applications, consulting with an experienced immigration attorney now, before any investigation begins, is critical. An attorney can review your immigration history, identify potential vulnerabilities, and advise you on how to respond if you receive any inquiries from immigration authorities. It's also essential to maintain comprehensive records of your life in the United States since obtaining citizenship. Keep copies of tax returns, employment records, residence documents, and any evidence that demonstrates you've been truthful about your activities, relationships, and circumstances. If investigators do open a case, having organized documentation readily available can help demonstrate that you obtained citizenship legitimately and have continued to uphold your responsibilities as a United States citizen. The real question is what this means for the millions of naturalized citizens who are living productive, law-abiding lives in America. For most people, the answer is that daily life will continue as normal. However, the psychological impact of knowing that citizenship, once considered the final and permanent step in the immigration journey, can potentially be taken away, creates a sense of insecurity that affects entire communities. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration Hub channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1 AAA, L1B and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, E1, EB2, EVA3, EB4, and E5, and family immigrant visas. Thank you for visiting us today, and we'll see you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, for more U.S. immigration update videos,